Hi, it's me, Vicky Marie. Now, I don't know if any of you have heard of this guy that I'm going to talk about tonight, Bobby Joe Long. Now, I put out a community post earlier to ask if you wanted me to do a more famous serial killer or a lesser known serial killer. And then not many of you did, to be honest, but the ones that did ask for a more, but this guy is a famous serial killer, but it's not as well known as the other one that I was going to do, but I'm going to do them next week. And the reason that in the end I chose to do this serial killer is in this story, this horrible story of a serial killer and the sad loss of life and the women that he killed, etc. There is a beacon of hope. There is a story within this of one of his victims who managed to escape his clutches and went on to do fantastic things. And in fact, Bobby Joe Long, he saved this girl's life because the night before Lisa was about to be abducted, not knowing, by Bobby Joe Long, she was planning suicide. Oh, I've said that word again. Never mind. Sorry, YouTube. She was planning to delete herself. She was only 18 years old. She'd suffered abuse all her life. And then Bobby Joe Long came along and abducted her. And it changed her life completely. Let's chat. Okay, so that's why I've chosen this case, because there is a hopeful story in this, as well as all the horrible things that you normally expect with a serial killer. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm going to say to everyone in a moment, thank you so much, as always, all my subscribers, all my new subscribers, all my old subscribers, and those of you that have gone an extra mile in supporting my channel by becoming members or sending me a super chat or a PayPal or bought me a coffee. Thank you so much, because I really could not do this channel without you. The support, it's not only the financial support, it's the knowledge that when I'm feeling down and I'm thinking, why am I even doing this? Because maybe I've had some nasty comments, to get appreciation and to get people saying to me, no, don't give up or don't stop. That makes all the difference into how I carry on, whether I carry on or not. So thank you so much, everyone. And all you at home, thank you for watching. I know not everybody wants to join the chat. Not everyone wants to even subscribe. Some people just like to be quiet in the background. And I know that, because then every now and again, they do sort of pop up maybe with a comment or whatever. So thank you so much to all you, the quiet majority. Thank you so much also. So everybody's different. Anyway, that if my channel helps you in some way, even if it just, because you get angry with me and it forgets you getting angry with the husband or the children or the whatever or the wife, fine, that's fine. Or distracts you from anything else that's going on, so you think, what's this idiot up to now? Brilliant. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so let me just say hello to everybody now. Oh, Princess, you were the first jumper. Thank you. Oh, Desi will be able to join you all later, so I'll see you later if she's there. Hi, Chumba. Hi, Maltese. Hi, David. I'm just going down through the chat. Hi, DMV. I'm getting there. Hi, Jackie. So I'm trying not to read the messages, because if I actually start reading them, then I literally get distracted, as you know. Hi, Tina. Oh, you're all chatting away. Good. Hi, Hannah. And Desi's here now. Great. Okay. Hi, all you in chat. It's lovely to see you all chatting. It really is. Okay, so where do we start with Bobby Joe Long? Now, when I talk about serial killers, quite often I'm saying, oh, this person is this, that, and the other. I've got a slight, what's the word? Bobby Joe Long, he did have a difficult childhood, but that's not why I have a little bit of sympathy for him, because lots of people have difficult childhoods. But you'll see as we go along, he had some, what's the word? He had some challenges to face, like, health challenges. He had an extra chromosome, which meant that as he got older, when he went into puberty and that, he actually developed breasts. So that must have been, I can imagine, I mean, that's bad enough, what it's like being a teenager, and a teenage boy would be teased mercilessly over that. You can imagine that must have been, not very nice. I'm not excusing him, I'm not saying, oh, that's why he's a serial killer. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying there are things in his background, because to all intents and purposes, Bobby Joe Long, when he was younger, when he first got married, for example, we're going to see his wife talking, we're going to hear things. He was a caring person. He also had several head injuries through his life, and they're linking, aren't they, head injuries? And I mean, he had about 3 or 4, serious accidents where he serious injuries, and his wife said that unfortunately had a motorcycle. She said he changed completely when he had this accident. So there is a little bit more, of extended circumstances than there are for some killers. Having said that, he was a typical psychopath in the end. He had no remorse. He had what's the word? We'll see some we'll see an example of his anger, because the thing is, by the time these killers get to court, sometimes you see them sat in court, and Bobby Joe Long, he's one of those that walks amongst us. You can see that people, he had his wife, he had his children, he was living a normal life. No one thought he was a serial killer. He's one of those that just fits in with everything. So he was, well, I wouldn't say he was good looking, but he's not ugly. He dressed nicely, held down a job, so he wasn't like, some raving, gibbering lunatic. So he was one of those sort of people. And when he was caught, he did not show any remorse. I don't think he could feel remorse. He just saw it. Okay, so let's have a look then at the story of Bobby Joe Long. We'll look at him first. Now, we're going to look at some photos. Actually, I meant to get some photos. Get some photos of computers working. There's nothing I can do about it, Desi. Unfortunately, the internet. There you go. The internet is slow. Everyone's complaining village, but there's nothing I can do about it, I'm afraid. I should be back. Am I back? See me okay now? Let me know if you can see me okay now. So I should be back with the photos of Bobby Joe Long in the background, so you can see when he was young here, when he was first arrested. Is it back? Yeah, it's back now. Good. Okay, let's start again. Well, with Bobby. So this is him. So you might see from this that he was in prison a very, very long time. A very, very long time. So this is him more or less when he was first arrested. I think he was in his 30s when he was arrested. And this is, you can see how long he was in prison. A long, long, long time. Anyway, let me tell you a bit about him, where he was born, etc. So he was born in October, on October the 14th. Oh God, I just thought today was his birthday. I don't want any of the spirits of serial killers in my house, thank you. I've already got Raoul Moat and I've got Ted Bundy. I don't want another one here. Anyway, so he was born in 1953. So he would have been 70 now, but he's with us. And as I say, he did have a very unfortunate life. He did. His mother, she was not a sex worker, but she worked in bars. I mean, bless her, she was a single parent. She was probably struggling, to make ends meet, etc. She worked in bars, and they lived somewhere. Unfortunately, in where they lived, there was only, hi Tracy, there was only one bedroom. So Bobby and his mum had to sleep in the same bedroom. And unfortunately, she did have a habit of bringing men home. So he was exposed to sort of all that, sort of sexualization of his mum, really. She was apparently a very, very attractive woman. And she had quite a lot of male friends. So he was sort of exposed to that sort of lifestyle because there was only one bedroom. So that apparently is, I know they quite often blame the mum, but I can imagine that wouldn't have been very nice for him, would it? It wouldn't have been very nice for a young lad, especially as they got older and they started understanding more about sex, etc. Anyway, he was born with this extra X chromosome, which is known as Klinefelter syndrome. So it results in excessive estrogen production, and it gives males, if males have it, it gives them female traits such as breasts. So you can imagine that as when he was a child, he was teased mercilessly for having breasts, and he had to have, when he was an adolescent, he had to have breast reduction surgery. So, Hello, I'm so sorry all the time. I'm trying to keep my literally can do. Everybody complaining about this internet. So it's about me everything. I know problem. And I think what happens is when there's a lot of people in it, it just gets overloaded. So at least I noticed it happening. Let's go back to where what I was looking at. So yeah, so we'd got as far as him being an adolescent. He had these problems with extra chromosome, etc. He then dropped out of school. He didn't meet a girl, and they fell in. To all intents and purposes, she says, you know, in the beginning, like through their courtship, yeah, but it's not Chumber, it's not because I'm in the basement, it's not because I'm in the basement. But I am going to move it upstairs to just try it, because I'm right to the router. I am really close to the router, so I don't think. But I am going to back up and try just to see if it makes any difference. But not right this moment. I can't. So when I'm halfway through a live, but okay. So yeah, so he met his wife. They got married. They had children. Now, this is where it comes to, but shortly after they got married, he had a motorcycle accident. On top of that, head injuries that he's had, and on top of the fact that he was resentful to him because of his mother and the sort of relationship he had with his mother. So on top of all that, he then had this last motorcycle accident. Now, apparently, after this accident, this is when his wife says he really changed in many, many ways. She got so aggressive, you know. He got so aggressive, he get really aggressive with her, and all his libido, just, and he would demand this. Oh, I feel like I start talking and then it cuts off. He would demand X at least twice a day. And he was just, something definitely changed in him after this motorcycle accident, because she never saw any signs of aggression with it. She said he was a little bit controlling, but she never really, before this motor, really saw any signs of real aggression with him, etc. So then what started happening as well, he would start going out and not coming home for hours, and he wouldn't tell her where he'd been. So she thought, in fact, that he was having an affair. But it's thought then that that is when he actually started doing these things with the classified ads. This is why he's often called the classified ad killer, or the classified ad rapist. I said it on YouTube again. Gosh, it's so difficult to speak. Anyway, but that's what he would do. So he would answer a classified ad for someone was selling furniture. He would go to the house all dressed up, all looking, you know, reasonable, like he did, because he was, you know, as I say, he's one of those that walks amongst us. He looked like a totally normal guy. And if a man answered the door, he would just go in and see the furniture and say, oh, no, it's not what I'm looking for. But if a woman answered the door, he would there or not. And if she didn't, he would then attack her. He took an RAPE kit with him. He would then attack her and he hadn't started actually killing yet, but he would, you know, assault the poor woman, and you know, he got more and more proficient at it. You know, he would actually take all the things with him that he needed to do it, and sometimes he wouldn't be able to do it because there'd be a man there, but if not, he would go ahead with it. You know, he was clearly with it. Anyway, I'm just trying to look, see how many they are. He confessed 50, and the police linked them together. There's no DNA then. This was in, let's see when it was actually. So he started it in 1980. And the woman was on her own. That's when he would get his RAP kit out. The woman and the charges apparently were later dropped, but it's not really clear why they were dropped. But of course, RAPE are often dropped, aren't they? Because the woman doesn't want to go through with it. Probably if he was convicted, that one probably wouldn't have wanted to go through it all again, would she? Anyway, as time went on, of course, his wife could not cope with his behaviour. She just couldn't. So she divorced him, or she divorced, and that's when he escalated. And that's when he really went from RAPE to murder, MUR. So over the next, I think the first lady, I'm going to go through all the victims, because he then moved to Tampa Bay. So all these took place around the Florida in 1984 for assault. And while he was on probation, he RAPD'd and strangled a 20-year-old woman, artist, wig. And she was a hitchhiker who was discovered in a rural area. Anyway, his main, when he graduated to MURDER, his main victims were, if not strippers or, you know, victims. These women are easy for murderers to pick out, aren't they? Because they're in a vulnerable position. They get in the car with them. You know, it's awful, really, that they are so vulnerable. These women are so vulnerable. And also in those days, not so much today, but definitely in those days, the police didn't look so hard for, you know, there was this sort of feeling of, well, you know, they got what was coming to them because, you know, they shouldn't have put themselves in that position. Now, as I say, that is not true now, but anyway. So yeah, 5 of them were identified as known SEX workers, 2 were exotic dancers, and the remaining 3 victims were a factory worker, a student, and someone with an unknown occupation. And as he was doing these MURDERs, he was also continuing with his classified RAPEs. So, you know, he was, you know, just, he admitted to opportunities, an opportunist. He would keep his car and saw an opportunity, then that would be it. He would just go for it. So now, when this case changed completely, really. Although he did, I think he did, well, another body was found after this. Whether he actually killed them after this event or before this event, I don't know. But this is where the positive thing comes in this horrible. And as a girl who had been subject to abuse all her life, had decided she was going to take herself off this planet because she just couldn't cope with everything anymore. She was cycling home from her work and he took her off the bike. She saw the car sort of in the distance and she thought, well, that's strange. And then she said the next minute, well, I'm going to actually show her interview in a minute, see exactly what she says. The whole internet is up to it. He took her, he just grabbed her off her bike and he took her back to his apartment and, you know, held her captive for quite a long time. So let's have a look at her being interviewed. Oh, thank you, Jean. Someone just supported me on, I think that was Jean. Thank you. So let me just tell you about her first. We actually look at tell you about her. So she had been, mother was drug and alcohol addicted, and her grandma from the age of 4 SA at home, and her grandmother's boyfriend used to put a gun to her head and molest her, and he 3 years. And so how she was strong when it came to Bobby Joe Long know what he was dealing with. So this girl taken abuse, you know, with a gun to her head for this. So when he took her off her bike, as she was actually having, you know, suicidal ideation, she was thinking of deleting. She said the night before I was writing my note, and the next night I was fighting for my life. So him abducting her actually saved, not only saved life, because then she went on to be a police officer. She joined the police, a school resource officer, a motivational speaker, and she's doing all this. She's in her 50s, early 50s. So, you know, that is something. She's 56, sorry, now, and brilliant. And what happened to her with him into a positive thing. So let's have a look at. Thank you, Jean. Let's have a look at an interview with Lisa. I love these sort of, what's the word? Oops, I've got to share it. You know, you've got to share it, Vicky. If you don't share it, it doesn't come up. Yeah, I love a positive story to come out of a negative story. Anyway, here she is talking about it. Let's see.
Dennis, the lone survivor of one of Tampa's most notorious serial killers, speaking out for the first time, Peluska, with how a teen outsmarted a killer.
See, here's where you see the real Bobby Joe Long. Even though he could be a nice person, his wife said he was a lovely person, well, before his accident. Look at his face now when he spits at this. I think it's the prosecutor.
There's reporter Michael Peluska with how a teen outsmarted a killer, saving herself and countless others.
Bobby Joe Long killed at least 10 women in Tampa, and on November the 3rd, 1984, he tried adding one more to his mother.
Don't kill me.
So Nolan says the night Long abducted her, she planned to kill herself.
One bad situation. And the next night I'm fighting for my life.
What Nolan endured and survived now seared into her memory.
The next 26 hours, I was brutally raped by this monster. It is rape. I endured that for 26 hours.
A day of torture she thought would end in death didn't. Using reverse psychology, she earned Long's trust.
Because
He eventually do this to me. He goes, I said, I'll be.
she said, it's unfortunate how she said, I'll be your friend. I'll never
that saved her.
Logically, to get inside his head and get to actually try to get to see that I was a compassionate person.
Long let her go, and she led police to be turned. Long will be in court Friday in Tampa trying to get a stay of execution, claiming lethal injection is cruel.
Okay, I'm back. Okay. So basically, he was found guilty of murder of, I think, of 2 of the women. He wasn't found. They didn't try them for all of them, but he was found guilty of for the murder of 2 of the women. And he was given the death penalty. But of course, he appealed against it. He fought against it. But let's just have a look again what she was saying about it. Lisa was saying about it.
Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, the master deputy dedicating her life to helping others.
For that forgiveness. His time is coming, and he knows it. And ironically, he's very scared. It's about time.
Nolan spent the last 20 years with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. The master deputy dedicating her life to helping others is now ready to put the pain of the past behind her.
I'm hoping to get a full night's sleep without any interruptions. I have not slept since 1984.
Long's execution is set for May 23rd. In Tampa, Michael Paluska, ABC Action News.
Okay. So what do you think? I mean, do you think, so of course he was given the death sentence, and spoiler alert, he was finally executed. What do you think? Do you think that, you know, I've got mixed feelings about the death penalty, but when I hear Lisa speaking there, she said she's not slept. She said, I will finally be able to sleep. Can you imagine? I mean, yes, she's turned her life, she's turned it into a positive. She's become a policewoman, she's become a motivational speaker, she's helped other victims. But her own, the price that she's had to pay for her shoulder ever since. Okay, so I've got some other videos to show you. So let's see. So this is a video from when he was actually executed. There's a few different people speak on this video. And again, you know, say mixed feelings for me about the death penalty, but with someone like him, he was a nasty, you know, he was nasty, ever so nasty. And he said it, you know, when these people appeal against the death penalty, as they say, it's cruel and inhuman punishment. And yet what they did, you know, it's crazy, isn't it, really? Anyway, look.
One slight tremor.
With his life. Bobby Joe Long, who murdered 8 women in 1984, was executed tonight at the Florida State Prison.
34 years. See, I don't agree with that, to be honest. I mean, to me, if you know, if somebody gets a death penalty, then it should happen quickly afterwards, certainly not 34 years later. But it's funny, it's ironic, isn't it, how a lot, not all of them, because a lot of serial killers do want the death penalty themselves, but some of them, they're so scared of death, they've murdered so many people in such horrible ways, and yet when it comes to their death, they're scared.
And he was pronounced dead at 6:55 p.m. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank joining us now in Rayford with this.
12 minutes for Bobby Joe Long to pay for what he has done. He had no visitors today, not family, not clergy, just people here who couldn't wait for him to die. Bobby Joe Long's final word was no, in that he had nothing to say before the state levied its punishment. Family of Chanel Williams didn't want to hear more. They wanted him to feel more.
You'd think at least he would have said, I'm sorry, or something. I mean, for goodness sake. Sorry, let me just press play.
I could have had my way. He would have been executed for every person life he took.
It was too easy. He was too comfortable.
After a final meal of roast beef, bacon, and fries, the lethal chemicals went into Bobby Joe Long at 6:43. He was dead by 6:55. His final moments seen by over 24 relatives of those he raped and maimed. They stood together after, forever bound by the acts of the horrible man.
And anybody that is in our shoes don't stop.
I was.
Long's ex-wife was not here, but she did send a message through somebody who was here.
That went off there a while, so I'm just going to go back a little bit.
His victims survived, including Linda Nuttall. He raped her in her home. After she placed a classified ad, she said that seeing Bobby Joe Long in the flesh was hard, but made easier because his end came alone, as she stood with her husband and those whose pain she shares.
I would love to represent those and those victims that did not survive, because I know how lucky I was.
Long's ex-wife was not here, but she did send a message through somebody who was here saying that she was sorry for all the pain that all these families have been through. Fox 13's Lloyd Sowers was one of just about 6 reporters to be inside of the death chamber to observe the proceedings. Lloyd.
So it's ironic, isn't it, that his wife actually sent a message. She was sorry. She didn't do anything. God, you know, how did they get away with it? These people, he hasn't even said he's
Can you
sorry, but his
describe
wife
what you
has.
saw leading up to the moment of death, then the moment itself and the aftermath?
Evan, I was there with about 25 family members of
Thank
victims.
you.
They all were waiting for the curtain to go up to show the death chamber. They wanted to hear what Bobby Joe Long would say. As you described, he had no last words. They began to administer the drugs. I saw a slight tremor in his lips, and there was a tremor in his hand. And in a few minutes, it was over. Everybody was very respectful. Everybody got up very reverently, filed out. To a person, they told me that they were so relieved that this is over after 35 years.
And Lloyd, after all of your years covering this story and this case, you've come to know Lisa Nolan. She is a sheriff's deputy now. She was only 17 years old when Bobby Joe Long kidnapped her and raped her. She was here today. Talk about your conversation.
How do we feel about the fact that they were, you know, that you can go watch not only the death penalty, is it, in the USA, but you can actually go and watch it if you want to, if you're a victim or an injured. You know, I don't know about that. I don't know if I could do that. But I do agree with what one of the relatives said there. He had an easy death, you know. He was like the torture that he put his victims through. And he really, you know, was horrible, horrible torture. And he had an easy death, didn't he? You know, it's like a peaceful death, if you like. But, you know, two wrongs don't make a right, so...
With her.
Yeah, she was 17 years old on her way home from work at a donut shop when he attacked her, brutally raped her, abducted her. She managed to escape him to get to detectives and then give them clues that ultimately led to the capture of Bobby Joe Long. She was here today, and here's what some of what she told me.
Hi, Heather.
You witnessed the execution today. What was your reaction?
My reaction was relief. All the years I have fought and the families of the victims fought to get the death warrant signed. It's surreal. The day came. It's here. I really honestly didn't think it would ever happen.
What was going through your mind when you were watching the execution?
What was going through my mind is...
Now, I agree with you, Tracy. I've got mixed feeling, but when you watch, so this is Lisa, who was almost his last victim, wasn't she? She's the one that led to him. So I thought she was 18, but she was actually only 17. It changed her life because she was about to delete herself because she'd suffered abuse from her grandmother's for so long with me. But Bobby Joe Long didn't know what he was doing. You know, he was playing with fire when he took her off a bicycle because she's strong. She was stronger than him. And she talked him round. But it's interesting now because he's just said to her, I wondered if she might say something for you. He said to her, what were you thinking about, you know, as it was happening? And this is what she says.
Is when is he going to stop breathing? I mean, I hate to say that, but when is the line?
She waited a very long time.
So what she was thinking was, when is he going to stop breathing? So she obviously, she said earlier, didn't she, she can forgive him, but that didn't mean to say she didn't think he should have the death penalty. So she forgive. The thing is, he'll have met, you know, I really do believe that now he'll be atoning for whatever he did in one way or another. Let's hope so.
For this, and she was let off when she escaped at a big tree. Bobby Joe Long left her off at a tree, an oak tree at Rome. That tree, a hug, and then she's going to cry as this closes a very, very terrible chapter in her life.
And Lloyd, you said all you saw was just one slight twitch when just about a minute into the procedure. Is that right?
Yeah, one slight twitch of the lips, one slight tremor in the right arm, a little bit, 3 heavy breaths, and then that was the end. His face turned ashen. The state proclaimed that the sentence had been carried out. The curtain went down, and that was the end of this execution and the end of Bobby Joe Long.
Fox 13's Lloyd Sowers, thank you so much, Lloyd.
Now, so this was in Tampa, Florida. I don't know, I think the death sentence, capital punishment still exists in Florida, doesn't it? So when and if they ever find this guy who supposedly who killed Rachel Marin, but that's in Maryland. I don't know, is that a different state? I don't know, but any of you that know, is the death sentence, is capital punishment still exist in Florida? I think it does.
One of just 6 reporters to be inside of that death chamber. Kelly today opened with 341 on Florida's death row. Now there are 340. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Evan and Lloyd, for your reporting.
So there still 340 people on death row after his, what year was it? It wasn't that long ago when he was assassinated, I was going to say, when he received his lethal injection. I'm trying to get 2019, so it was 4 years ago. Okay, now we're going to look at some other interviews. We're going to look at an interview with his wife. Yeah, I think it does. So we're going to have a look at an interview with his wife. Imagine, I mean, as I say, when they were young and when they were courting, if you like, before they got married, she said they were really in love. He was very caring, very nice person. The problems started for her, as far as she could see, just after they got married. He had a motorcycle accident and had another head injury, which was about his 4th head injury. And that's when he changed it, she thinks. And there is evidence, isn't there, that head injuries can lead to changes in personality, etc. Okay, let's have a look at this interview with his wife. Just got to find it because I've got loads of windows open. There you go.
Ten women would still be alive.
Yeah, now she's got all this guilt because she's thinking, when his personality changed, he did start beating her and things like that, and he was demanding sex, a couple of times every day, and she now feels guilty, that she feels that if she would have done more. Other people always feel guilty. I found that whenever you're looking, except for the perpetrators. The perpetrators never feel guilty. It's always everybody else. This poor woman, she shouldn't feel guilty. It's not. Now, that's him as a young boy. I mean, the thing is, they're all young boys at some stage, aren't they? And, if you've only just come in to be watching, he did have a difficult childhood because he had this extra chromosome where he developed women's breasts, and he was teased mercilessly at school. And he also had these sort of at least 4 head injuries. But, I'm not excusing him for what he did, but that can't have been easy for him to have. He had to have these breasts surgically removed. He had to have breast reduction surgery. That must have been awful for a young boy. Now, the Lisa that we saw then, this is a younger Lisa, obviously, that we're seeing. So Lisa was his last victim, and she's the one that outsmarted him. And she gave the police information about where he lived, etc. And she then became a policewoman and a motivational speaker. You can just see why her face is lighting up as she's talking about him. This is what I mean. These men or women, they walk amongst us. They're not, they're normal people who have. She feels guilty now that she didn't go ahead with this. She loaded up a shotgun. She went into the bedroom where he was asleep and held the gun to him. But I've seen on other videos, when she held that gun to his head, he woke up and he just said, "Go on, bitch, you haven't got the guts," or something along the lines of along those lines. So she probably feels guilty now that she didn't shoot him. But at the end of the day, she had her children in the next room, and you know that is their father. So, but yeah, he just woke up and he said, "Go on then, bitch, you haven't got the guts," or something like that. So
just 7.
So if you're just coming into this, just to repeat, Lisa, the night before, decided she was going to delete herself because she was suffering abuse from her grandmother's partner, who had been molesting her at gunpoint for 3 years, and she decided she was going to take herself away from this world. The night before, she was writing her suicide note, and then this night she was, when you think about it, she must have, and how did it go from a sort of wanting to delete herself anyway to suddenly she wants to survive? You know, she's now in a position where she knows that she's going to be deleted. She did because she realized, because she'd been abused herself for so long. I mean, it's awful, really, isn't it? But it was almost like, if it wouldn't have been for that, she, you know, she might have, you know, she knew that the only way to survive was to go along with what he wanted and then wait for a moment. And she wouldn't have been as strong as that or that much of a survivor if she hadn't gone through that horrific abuse that she'd suffered. Into my thing, it's showing. Oh, gosh. Can you not see me or hear me? Can you see me? Ah. Oh. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carry on with it.
About if you
Okay, so it stopped the live because, but it's still, I mean, I'm still on as far as I'm concerned, it's still recording. But what I'm going to do is just record everything. I've got another little interview. I just want to show you a little interview with him. It'll be a copyright. Oh, God, it drives me mad sometimes, these lives.
All the victims, all of them, you know, and you're talking about a lot of them, a lot. A lot of lives just gone right down the tubes because of me, you know, in one way or another. And it's not a good feeling. It's not a pleasant feeling. I'm not proud of anything I've done. And the worst thing is I don't understand why. I don't understand why.
Okay, so that's just a little interview with him. What else did I want to show you? I'm going to have to just sort of edit it all and put it out in the morning. Let's see. Oh, that's so annoying. Okay. I'm still here. Can you not hear me or see me at all? Can you not hear me? Oh, you can hear me now. No, I'm still here. I think it was just the video that I was showing. I can't show you the videos. What I'm going to have to do, I don't know what. Anyway, how far did it get to? I think we saw, let's see. I think I can play this one. I'm going to try and show you another video. Yeah, it'll be whatever I was showing. That video I was showing, they'll have claimed a copy, there'll be a copyright thing on it. So what they do is if it's a live, they just stop it straight away. And then, but I'm surprised they've let me go back. I'm surprised it's let me go back, but it has let me go back. So I know the thing is you just can't tell when you show videos of people talking, depending like that's why I have to keep stopping it. Maybe I didn't stop it often enough, so it picked up on it. But some news channels, they will let you play them. Like you can play what you like on Sky News. It's like there's no copyright ever with that. And then there's other ones that are a bit sort of sniffy. Yeah, I'm on overtime. I'm on overtime now. I'm gonna try and show you another one. I'm surprised they've let me come back on, so it's odd really. As soon as I stop that video, they let me come on. Let me just show you this one. See if it'll let me do this. So annoying.
A second victim.
The series of homicides started, and we were finding a body. It averaged out about every 2 weeks.
Colonel Gary.
So I'm terrified now. So I'm going to have to stop it about every 30 seconds. So this is the police guy saying that he's at the peak of when he was murdering women. They were finding a body about every 2 weeks. Now, luckily, thanks to Lisa, ballsy Lisa, he was caught quite quickly, really, because he would have gone on and on. I mean, he committed at least 50 RAPEs. So, and I don't want to say only 10 murders, but if you think if he was killing someone every 2 weeks, that's only a 5-month period, you know. So it could have gone on for so much longer. And so that girl, Lisa, she saved a lot of women's lives.
Gary Terry was the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office's lead investigator on the case.
You know, if you don't solve it soon, someone else is going to die.
More women were killed. 4.
I just think, you know, for the police, when they're dealing with serial killers, like with the Rachel Marine case, you just wouldn't sleep, would you? Because you know that the only chance maybe that this person is when they do it again. So I bet you wouldn't sleep at night. You're just waiting for it. And what's strange about the Rachel Marine case is, of course, there haven't been any others. Well, I say they haven't as far as we know, but they've got the DNA, remember, so they would have matched up the DNA unless there have been others and they're not telling us. That's another thing that might be going on.
Or by Labor Day. The gruesome scenes, including ligature marks from the victims being tied and raped before they were murdered. One piece of evidence kept appearing at the crime scenes.
Red trilobal nylon carpet fiber.
The fibers were a mystery until a separate rape case emerged where the victims survived.
I'm just plucked off my back by God knows who.
So here she is again, Carol. Now, so I've just seen what David said, where it had got to where the wife was being abused. So yeah, that's it. So did you hear me saying about her getting a gun one night and holding it to his, getting a shotgun and coming out? She decided she was going to kill him. His wife was going to kill him. And she held the gun to his head. And he woke up and he said, oh, go on, bitch, you haven't got the guts, or something along those lines. And she didn't shoot him because the children were in the bedroom. They had 2 children. But she feels guilty because she feels that if she had killed him on that night, you know, she may have avoided all those other murders. But she said, I just didn't want to do it because my children were in the next room. Now, I just had an email from YouTube. Be copyright. It'll be copyright for something. Probably that video that I was showing. Oh, I mean, I do understand copyright because it, you know, obviously we all own the creations that we make. But I mean, I was using it for fair use because the problem is when it's alive. See, if it's on a video that you put on your channel, it's different because they pull you up for copyright and they just limit the monetization on it until you've asked for a review or whatever. But on a live, they can't do that. So what they do is they just suspend the stream. So hi, Lady Dog Lover again. So yeah. Right, okay, so let's have a little look back. We're going to have to stop this about every 30 seconds, I think, because we don't want that to happen again, do we?
And I felt the cold steel barrel to the left side of my temple.
Lisa Nolan, then 17 years old, was riding her bike home from work at a Tampa Krispy Kreme when she was...
Tampa Krispy Kreme. Now, this particular news channel, WFLA news channel, that they normally don't pull you up for copyright, but you know what? You never know.
Was abducted around 2 a.m. and taken to the man's apartment.
I lost count how many times he raped me throughout the night.
A previous victim of abuse, Lisa knew how to handle him and did what she needed to survive.
I would lie to him to appease him, to keep him calm and coddle him.
Through the night, she got a glimpse into his mind.
Now, the other videos that I've been watching today, and like she was saying that he treated her like a doll almost. He took her into the, and said he would change. He would go from being lovely, you know, very caring, stroking her hair and all this, and then suddenly would get all aggressive again. She didn't know who she was dealing with. You know, he went from he was like a Jekyll and Hyde. And then he took her into the shower, he washed her, he treated her like a doll. He dressed her again, you know, and that's when she said to him, she knew that she had to keep him nice. She had to keep him in this nice bit, otherwise she was going to die. So she offered to be his girlfriend, you know, and he said, oh, no, that I can't keep you. You know, as if she was like a doll or something. He said, I can't keep you. I'll drop you off at home. He asked her where she lived or nearby. She told him somewhere nearby where she lived, and he just took her home and dropped her off.
And his motive.
He was getting back at women in general because of a bad breakup.
After 24 hours from hell, incredibly, he let her go. On the ride home, she peeked beneath a blindfold, finding the evidence that would catch a killer, the word Magnum on the dash, and a red carpet interior.
For the movers.
Now, this red carpet interior, those red fibers, because DNA was, there was no DNA then, and all this forensics, etc., was in its infancy then. But one thing they had found on every victim was red fibers, and these red fibers were in this car, this Magnum car.
The Action People. Dodge Magnum XE, 78.
Detectives matched the Dodge Magnum with an ATM transaction, and Lisa picked Long out of a lineup. His reign of terror was finally over.
If we had not captured him when we did, he would have, I'd hate to think of what his body count.
He would never have stopped. This man would never, ever have stopped. He would have just carried on, carried on, carried on. He couldn't help himself in a way. I think that's true of most serial killers. It's not something that they choose to do. It's like an impetus, I think. You know, I don't think it's, I think, well, you probably missed, there was a little interview with him that I showed. I'll try and find it again in a minute. You know, it's almost like it's like an addiction, isn't it? It's just like a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction, or even worse because it's endemic. You know, you can cure those kinds of addictions. But I think I saw somebody recently saying, I think the decision that's been made now is that these things cannot be cured. Cannot be cured. You know, there used to be quite a big focus on rehabilitation, etc. That's gone now. I think it's more or less accepted now that SA and serial killers just can't be changed.
Would have been.
Long later confessed to at least 8 murders over that 8-month span in 1984 and was sentenced to death.
A lot of lives just gone right down the tubes because of me. You know, in one way or another. And it's not a good feeling. It's not a pleasant feeling. I'm not proud of anything I've done. And the worst thing is I don't understand why. I don't understand why.
But investigators and prosecutors believe.
Yeah, you know, I do think they don't understand why. And I don't think anyone can understand why. I think it's just something wrong inside. You know, I honestly do think that.
He raped dozens of women before his killing spree, answering classified ads by unsuspecting young women.
Oh, he's an absolute sicko. He's an arrogant.
You know, because the thing is, before his wife left him, it was RAPE, 50 probably RAPEs that he did. But then when his wife left him, probably because he had more time and he was more angry, that's when he sort of graduated, if you like, to MURDR.
Arrogant son of a. He was an arrogant guy. He used to go, his big start was in rapes. He would answer ads where the parents were trying to sell the baby furniture. So he would go to the house hoping to find the little girl or the young mommy there.
Yeah, that's it. So he would specifically target baby furniture ads because he would know it'd be a young woman would be there. And he would make the appointment at time, like in the daytime, when he would hope that the father would be at work. So, yeah, I think it is an impulse, Jackie. I think I literally do. You know, it doesn't make it any better, and I don't feel sorry for him for that. But in a way, I do, because if you had that impulse and you couldn't control it, but he's not even sorry about it. Some are sorry, but he's not. So how can you be sorry? How can you feel sorry for him when he never, even on his deathbed, as he was breathing his last gasp or about to, and they asked him if he had any last words, he didn't even say sorry. So it's hard to it's hard to forgive someone who's not sorry.
For more than 30 years, Long sat on Florida's death row until new Governor Ron DeSantis signed Long's death warrant last month.
I was happy. I said, God, it's about time.
Long's date with death was set. Then came multiple.
I didn't know it was DeSantis that signed his death warrant.
Appeals in court.
It's ridiculous that I'm expected to come in there and say, here's a better way to kill my client.
In recent years, some manufacturers stopped supplying their drugs for executions, forcing a change. Now, the first of Florida's 3-drug protocol is etomidate, an anesthetic that Long's attorneys.
Sorry, I have to stop it every now and again. Gosh, that was interesting. Yeah, I remember that now. They stopped doing them for a while because the drugs companies would not supply the drugs that were necessary to kill someone by lethal injection, but now they're using a different one.
Say could violate his 8th Amendment constitutional right to avoid cruel and unusual punishment because Long has epilepsy and a traumatic brain injury, and the drug, they say, could trigger seizures. The state's expert witness.
What? So the drug could trigger seizures? What, not kill him, do they mean? But if it... I mean, I don't believe in the death penalty. I honestly don't. I certainly couldn't do it. Well, maybe I could do it to someone if they had actually killed, someone I loved. I expect to be really angry. But really, I do believe in forgiveness. I don't believe in the death penalty. But if you are going to do it, it should be quick.
Witnesses disagreed.
Such an extreme dose would be lethal and would produce an extreme state of unconsciousness and suppress all seizure activity.
Lula Williams' daughter Chanel was one of Long's victims. She says the years have not been kind to those who loved her and that Long's pain shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Now, in a moment, I am going to read out all the victims, just to read their names. There's quite a lot of them. Obviously, Lisa always is like in the spotlight because she's the one that got away and she's the one that led to him being apprehended. But I am going to read out his other victims.
Pain, just imagine my niece went through.
To have this person find excuse after excuse to not to face his judgment, It's time. He did that wrong, paid for it. You got to pay for your sin.
You got to pay for your sins in this life or the next, anyway.
As for Long's only known survivor from that 1984 killing spree, the woman who brought Long to justice is now an officer of the law herself.
Just because you become a victim, you don't have to stay there.
Lisa Noland is now Master Deputy Lisa McVeigh in the same Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office that helped catch her attacker. She says she'll be at Long's execution.
It's fascinating, isn't it, really? So she's a police officer in that exact district. She was... Now, see the difference. When people always sort of stick up for killers or thieves or whatever, and they say, oh, they had a terrible upbringing. Look at the upbringing she had. So she was abused all her life and she was on the point of actually deleting herself, taking herself away from this earth. And then that night she was abducted by a serial killer and, he RAPD'd her and, abused her. And look what she's done with her life. So if she can do, so that's why I don't accept these, people say, oh, well, they had a terrible childhood or they had this. Lots of people have terrible childhoods and they don't all end up like that, do they? So, I don't agree with blaming someone's background on why they do terrible things. I think people do terrible things because they're terrible people.
Hoping it may finally, 35 years later, bring her some closure.
I'm hoping to get a full night's sleep without any interruptions. I have not slept since 1984.
Gosh.
It all started, as far as investigators.
Well, I'm not surprised she's not slept since 1984, but it's ironic, isn't it? Because of course, some people have to live with the fact that their murderers do come out of prison as well. That they're released. How you get through that, I don't know. How you cope with that, either if you're a victim of theirs that survived, or if you're a family member and it was your loved one, and when that person comes out of prison, how must that feel? Like with Jamie Bulger's mum, I don't, and then the one of them going back into prison and out again back into prison. Disgusting. Anyway, I'm gonna just read out his victims. He's had his justice, but these are the victims that we know about. I mean, bearing in mind there's at least 50 rapes, but their names are not here. So let's go for the victims, his known victims. There's artist Anne Wick, who was only 20 years old, and she was killed on March the 27th, 1984. Nguyen Thi Long, who was 19, who was killed on May the 13th, 1984. Michelle Denise Sims, 22. She was killed on May the 27th, 1984. See how close by these, how many other, he did all these murders in 10 months, 8 months, I think. So it started in March and finished in November from when he was apprehended. How many more would he have done if he hadn't been apprehended? Anyway, Linda Nuttall, 33, assaulted in May 1984, survived. Elizabeth Ludenbach, 22, killed on June the 8th, 1984. Vicky Marie Elliott, 21, killed on September the 7th, 1984. Chanel Devon Williams, 18, killed on October the 7th, 1984. Karen Beth Dinsfriend, 28, killed on October the 14th, 1984. Kimberly Kyle Hobbs, 22, killed on October the 31st, 1984. Lisa McVeigh, 17, assaulted, RAPED, on November the 3rd, 1984, survived. Virginia Lee Johnson, 18, killed on November the 6th, 1984. So just 3 days after he dropped Lisa McVeigh back at home, he killed another 18-year-old girl, Virginia Lee Johnson. And then there was one more victim, Kim Marie Swan, who was 21, killed on November the 11th, 1984. So November the 3rd was Lisa, November the 6th he murdered Virginia, and November the 11th he killed Kim. So thank God for Lisa, because he was literally there every couple of days doing something terrible. My God, so young, and he just, thank God he got stopped in his tracks, and at least then that was it. He was in prison and he couldn't do it again, and although it took 34 years for them to finally get the resolution that they wanted, my God, when you read them out like that, you realise the volume, and that's, I'll say only 10. I mean, there are other serial killers that have killed, like, 50, 60, 70, 80 people. How long would it take to read off all those names? And those, he was escalating every couple of days. He couldn't control himself. He was beyond control, because he didn't have a normal life then. Like, while he was with his wife and he was having a normal life, he was probably having sexual relationship with her, and that it was every couple of weeks. But then when he was on his own, he just lost control. So so all those he killed just within a couple of months. Terrible, unbelievable. Anyway, so there you go. That's Bobby Joe Long. But the good thing about the story of Bobby Joe Long is the story of Lisa McVeigh. The positivity. He saved her life. I mean, it's ironic, isn't it? He meant to take her life, but she was going to take her own life, and he saved her life. He made her realize that she wanted to live. It's amazing, really. It's it's just, gosh, truth is definitely stranger than fiction. This is why once you start reading true crime stories and that, it's hard to go back to fiction, because that the things, when I watch sort of some fiction things, I just think, oh my God, that's ridiculous. It just, that these things that happen, It's more important to pursue true crime or to talk about true crime, in my opinion, because these are things that have really happened. You've got to be aware of these things and not paranoid though. So it's difficult to strike a balance, isn't it, between paranoia of never going out anywhere and being terrified of everyone, which does sort of happen a little bit when you get into true crime, but also you have to be aware. You know, so you've got to be, if I ever set, and I've sold loads of things online and I've bought things offline, but if I sell things online, nobody comes into my house. Well, certainly not if I'm on my own. I meet them. It depends on the item. Obviously, it's a big item. They have to come into the house, but make sure my son's here. I would never have anyone in my house while I was here on my own. If it was someone that I didn't know, maybe even someone that I didn't know. But, you know, and then many times I've sold things, I've met them. If it's something I can carry, I don't even meet them at my house. I'll say, right, I'll meet you at the church or the town hall or whatever, so they don't know where I live. Because you know what? You've always got to be careful. Anyway, so thank you so much for those of you who've stuck with me, because yeah, good riddance to bad rubbish with Bobby Joe Long. Thank you for those that stuck with me, because it was a bad internet to start with, and then there was the bloody stream interrupted. Oh God, it'd be nice to just have one uneventful live, wouldn't it, where it all just went okay. Of course, the internet's settled down now, but I'm finished now. So, okay, thank you so much, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Now, remember to live and love carefully. Please don't sell things online, or well, not don't sell things online, but just be careful if someone's coming round to your property to view something, especially you ladies. Don't be on your own there, you know, and inviting people into your house. Just make sure there's always someone there with you if someone's coming in to view something. Yay, Maggie. No. Have you got your wine tonight, Maggie, in your tumbler? Oh, yeah, good night. Thank you so much for sticking with me. And if Lady Dog Lover's still there, thank you for the Ko-fi. I don't know why it didn't come through to go up on the, I don't know. Sometimes it comes up onto the stream and other times it doesn't. A good life tonight, David. Yeah, it was, apart from the interruptions. It's an interesting story. I just hope I can I make things interesting for you, that's all. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Desi. Thank you, David. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Jackie, so much. Sorry, I didn't answer the messages coming because I was just trying to sort out the thing. Thank you, Chumba, and everybody else. Thank you to all you sitting at home if you're still here with me. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. It's great to share time with you. It literally is great to share time with you all. Thank you so much. And I will see you tomorrow, I'm sure. Thank you, Jean. That's so sweet. And just thank you for all your support, whether it's subscribing, just watching, liking. Don't forget to like. And of course, my members, anyone who's supported me in any way, thank you so much. Oh, and by the way, thank you. I've been getting a few Halloween costumes, masks, you know, things like that. So I'll building up to a collection. Now, Halloween is a week on Tuesday, so you've still got time. I will be doing a live and it will be open to everyone, not only members. So anyone who wants to send Halloween costume, masks or whatever, just for a bit of fun on Halloween, and I'll make sure it's a really scary story that night. So thank you so much. And remember, hope your God always goes with you, and I love you all. Thank you so much. Adios. Adios.